But people put in questions, so let me just summarize a bunch. Basically, the questions to you is, where do you get your moral values? Do you believe that religion and faith is the only path to save us from ourselves? What other paths might exist? Knowledge and rationality without compassion is dangerous. Where or how does compassion fit into the atheist? Where does an atheist go for moral guidance? That's about it, you know.
Well, there is this fear that if you lose the idea that one of your books was written by the creator of the universe, you will lose any real basis to have a durable morality. I think this fear is unfounded on many fronts. I mean, it clearly gets the process of consulting Scripture backwards. I mean, we read the Bible, and we see that in Leviticus it says, you know, if a woman is not a virgin on her wedding night, you should take her to her father's doorstep and stone her to death. I mean, we read that, and we choose to reject that pearl of ancient wisdom. And then we read elsewhere in the Bible, we come across the golden rule, and we say, now that's really wise. That makes sense. That feels good. That's how I want to be treated. This is really this is the true moral message of the Bible. So the process is we are the guarantors of the wisdom that we find in Scripture. I mean, the guarantors of our morality, the guarantor of our morality is in our brains, not in our books.
And, well, it's very obvious that a female needs to pay attention to her offspring and needs to be in tune with the emotions of her offspring, like distress or hunger or being cold or whatever it is. And so females need to respond. And out of that grew, I think, empathy. And actually, it was just a meeting in Chicago which was about empathy, where one of the speakers was emphasizing oxytocin as a mediator of empathy. And oxytocin is, of course, actually a hormone very active during giving birth, during lactation, and has very lot to do with maternal care. Well, the cross-species empathy we see in humans, of course, humans who take care of whales who have been stranded, or we take care of a dog who has been abandoned. And the other way around, we have animals like dolphins who take care of swimmers sometimes who are drowning, or who they need to defend against sharks, and they do that kind of things. And so the cross-species empathy is not why empathy evolved. Empathy evolved to take care of immediate family members and maybe group members, but not distant individuals, and certainly not individuals of another species. That's not why empathy evolved. But once empathy exists, once you have that capacity, and there's good reasons why we have it, because we're cooperative animals, you're welcome to apply it to anything. And actually the mechanism is activated by other species. And that's what we see in animals, and that's what we see in humans.
All these kitties.
Teresa Kurth works for the shelter and helped come up with a solution.
You know, there's a big difference between a dog and a cat.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So we thought, let's just try.
Try and see if Lily would have the kittens for lunch, which she did. Breakfast and dinner, too.
To see this dog just take to these baby kitties instantly, I just think Lily's one of a kind.
Yes and no. There was also the cat who heard an abandoned fawn crying for food and took in the little deerlet. Or how about the baby horse raised by a goat? And perhaps most amazing of all, the leopard, who in killing a baboon unwittingly created an orphan. The leopard could have easily made the baby an appetizer, but instead sat down beside and mothered it. Why would an animal show such grace? Why would Lily, when one of the kittens fell into her water dish, rescue the little troublemaker and carry him off to safety? Why? Other than the obvious.
I mean, it's what she does.
Indeed, for most mothers, it's just what they do. An instinct so deeply wired into them that often all they know is to love and care for life. Understanding it completely will take scientists many more years, but feel free to appreciate it this weekend. Steve Hartman, CBS News, Burlington, Iowa.
If you saw the original story, you know how elephants come here from zoos and circuses one by one.
but stay here 2 by 2.
Every elephant that comes here searches out someone that she then spends all of her time with.
Of course, it's always another elephant,
Best buds, these two.
with the notable exception
There's no other elephant around here?
of Tara
Just these two.
and a stray named Bella.
That's hilarious.
They drink together, they sleep together, they play together.
And stay together, no matter what. When Bella got sick last year and had to live in the sanctuary office, guess who stood vigil? For 3 weeks, Tara waited there.
She was concerned about her friend.
And we had no choice but to bring Bella down to see Tara.
The pair showed such devotion, showed such tenderness and trust. It was almost hard to believe. The whole story seemed like a Disney movie to a lot of people, including people at Disney.
Disney called, they actually pitched the movie.
Pitched a live-action movie that would star Tara or another trained elephant. Scott and Carol say they didn't have to think twice. The answer was no.
It just goes against the core of who the sanctuary is.
We don't want them to be in those environments where they're dominated and trained and performed for people.
See, here at the sanctuary, they've got this crazy idea that animals, elephants especially, aren't on this planet just to serve us. They honestly believe that some animals are here for the same reasons we are, to love and care for others, whether those others appreciate it or not.
There's so much more to them that you don't need to use them for them to have value. They have value just being who they are.
So, don't look for Tara and Bella at a theater near you. But by all means, do look to them next time you feel like there's just no good in this world.
Partner you'd expect a primate to fall for, but an unusual love story has been forged between Surya, the 6-year-old orangutan, and a stray hound dog named Roscoe. For these logic-defying friends, it's all hugs and cuddles since the day they met 3 years ago when Surya spotted the dog from high atop an elephant while on a ride with his trainers at this South Carolina animal park.
To me, they seem like long-lost friends. You know, they would make you believe in reincarnation.
Unusual, yet one of many puzzling partnerships uncovered by National Geographic. They found animal alliances in the wild that test boundaries, go against nature, and redefine love. This pairing, researchers say, is one of the strangest animal bonds ever seen. A lioness who, instead of eating her dinner, adopts it.
Well, I think many people felt that this was, had to be a message from God. This was a miracle. This was, the lion and the lamb laying down together.
In this case, that lamb was an antelope calf, the last creature you'd ever expect to curl up next to one of the most ferocious hunters in the wild. Why would that lioness defy her instinct to kill?
What we think happened was that she actually went through quite a traumatic loss, very sudden traumatic loss, and this clicked a switch in her head that just sparked this obsessive compulsive behavior. So that when she came across this baby oryx, instead of seeing food, she saw baby.
This other, more whimsical partnership between predator and prey has been seen on YouTube some 5 million times. A cat and a bird that shouldn't get along, playing hide and seek, even wrestling. From the hippo and the tortoise who sidle up next to each other, so many of these relationships are hard to explain.
I don't really want to say it's a very primeval, basic thing. It's a bit more sophisticated than that. Maybe love is primeval. I think maybe love is something that's transcended that.
Animal behavioralists say, despite their differences, nature's unlikeliest companions pair up because, for whatever reason, they fulfill each other's needs, whether emotional or practical.
For me, as someone who's watched the natural world and who thinks in evolutionary terms, the big message I get out of it is cooperating works. Being social works.